Hey guys. Hi, happy Friday. I'm Bethany with CutterPillar, and we're back for another fun Friday sew along. And I'm so excited that you're here, and it is Mother's Day weekend. So, of course, I thought let's make something that we could quickly make, but also learn some new tips and tricks on sewing with some fun fabrics and something that you could give to the mom in your life, or give to yourself, or give to a friend. I'm all about self-care and making things for myself or even to gift to others. And so this is one of those that I feel like is a quick, easy, fun make, and everybody could use one of these. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, we're going to make a little satin eye mask today. I sleep with an eye mask every night because it kind of helps me shut my brain off. It wants to keep talking. It also helps with my migraines, which is nice, but sometimes there's all these other things still going on when I just want to take a nap or rest, and this really helps. So if you have someone in your life or yourself who could really benefit from an eye mask and you want one that is cozy and comfortable and fit to your head, this is the project for you. So we're going to make it today. And one of the things you're going to learn in this is how to sew with satin. A lot of people are really intimidated by sewing with satin. It is really not that hard when you have the right tools and tips. And I'm going to share all of that with you today. But before we dive into our project, I want to update you guys on a couple of things that we have going on. And I know Melody's in the background helping out, so maybe she can help me with some of these as well. I know, are we still doing our flex item? Are we still doing that? Okay, I got the thumbs up, so I wanted to make sure. So she just put it up there for you guys. Flex 20, you take an additional 20% off any flex item. That means our flex light with extra cradles. And if you didn't know, we just launched earlier this week. If you didn't see Melody's live on Tuesday, you should go back and watch it. But we have a new accessory kit for our flex light. That means that there's some fun accessory tools that you can take your flex light that you already have, and you know you love it, and use it in so many other ways. So we heard what you guys had to say, and you were like, okay, well, I love that it can attach to my machine, but I want to be able to use it in other ways. So now there's a cradle with a clip, so you can clip it to things. There's a lanyard, so you can magnetically put it wherever you want, so it doesn't move around while you're wearing it. To be completely hands-free, which I love. There's so many great things. There's a little magnifying glass that can go right on the end for that detailed handwork that you're doing. So if you have a flex light, go get you the flex light accessory kit. If you don't have a flex light, you should get it with the accessory kit. So we offer the accessory kit two ways, with and without a flex light. So if you already have one, you can get it without. If you have one, you can get, or don't have one, you can get it with, sorry, words are hard today. And then if you already have a flex light, honestly, I have two. So there's no harm in having more than one flex light, in my opinion, because what happens, and this happened to me this week, I'm sewing, and then this one dies because I forgot to charge it. But my other one's been charging, so I just swap it out. So you see, it's always nice to have an extra flex light. There she is, pulling them up for us to look at right here. So you've got your accessory kit. You got your accessory kit with the flex light. You also have the flex light with extra cradles. Those extra cradles are nice because if you're like me and you have more than one sewing machine, you can stick it to all of your machines. So then you just take your flex light and move it around from machine to machine. You can just leave your cradles in place. But again, we have options. But we have elevated our very much beloved flex light by giving you a bunch of extra accessories. And what I love most about that accessory kit, you see in the background, it's got that little tray. That's where all those accessories stay. And it's a charging station. So you just sit this right on there. It's going to make it so much easier for me to remember to charge my flex light because I have a little station to hold all of my accessories. So you're really going to love this. So use the code FLEX20 to get 20% off. Now, I believe the accessory kits are pre-order only right now, but they will be shipping very, very soon. So we wanted, as soon as they were coming in, we were like, while we're getting all the stuff done in the background to get them ready to send them to you, we thought, why don't you just go ahead and pre-order them? So if you need a gift for mom, this would be great. You won't get it for Mother's Day, but she's definitely going to love this. So the other thing that we have going on is our Mother's Day special that we have going on. It's code LOVEMOM for an additional 20% off. And we actually have special bundles just for mom. So I'm actually going to grab the link. Melody, I'll grab it for you. And if you want to pull it up on screen, Melody, that would be great so we can talk about some of these bundles real quick. But I'm going to drop the link in the chat to these bundles. These are our specially curated bundles just for mom. And Melody's going to show them to us. But you can use the code LOVEMOM to save an additional 20% off. We just thought, like, what does mom need? What does mom want? I mean, let's light up her world like she does ours. So these are going to be some specially curated bundles just for mom. And let's see if we can get those pulled up here in just a second. I dropped the link. So she said 1 second. Melody's at a trade show today. So she's helping out in the background, which we greatly appreciate because it's hard to do it all by yourself. And she's going to share those here in just a second, all the Mother's Day bundles. But I want you guys to take a look at them because even if, you're like, this is what I want for myself, you can totally take advantage of these deals that we're doing just for Mother's Day. So here we go. I may have to look at them on another screen just because my eyes are not that great. So we have a Mother's Day mini bundle, which is going to include a few different items, which is our mini tote. It looks like it also includes our mini Glow Elite mini light board that comes with a cutting mat, by the way. And it's going to include one of our flex lights with extra cradles. So that's a wonderful bundle right there. I love all of those items so much. Now, another one is our Mother's Day sale light and cut special. So this one's great because we want to light up her world, like I said, just like she lights up ours. So this is going to include our Flip and Fold 36 cutting mat, which is our smaller cutting mat, which is the one that I'm using here today. It's also going to include a flex light with extra cradles. But the other thing it's going to throw in there is our clamp light. Our clamp light is wonderful. And I don't know where mine is off the top of my head. It's probably in my sewing room because I took it with me on the road. But the clamp light has just been added back in stock. Like we just got those back and they sold out over the holidays. So highly recommend this bundle for the clamp light because it clamps to your ruler and lights it up. Very good for those who need that extra little bit of light. And then we have a Glow Premium with magnets and plates, Glow Tote Temper Glass bundle. This is like for the mom who loves to sew and craft and create and quilt and all of those things. And she may not have any of our stuff yet. This is the one for her. So you cannot go wrong with any of these bundles. Go check them out. They're great. You're going to enjoy all of them. And don't forget to use code LOVEMOM for an additional 20% off. All right. Now for today. Oh, Rosina said, hello from North Carolina. I ordered the flex light. Rosina, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. It's going to light up your world. Going to light up your world. I did want to mention real quick that I had my team post this. It's not the prettiest drawing in the world, but I basically made this little template for you for our eye mask today. This is off of one that I already own that I really liked. So I was like, well, let me just use this as a template. And I made it as a little PDF and you guys can download it. But in order to download it, you have to join our CutterPillar Creations Hub Facebook group. If you don't want to use my template, that is fine. It's not going to hurt my feelings. But if you have an eye mask that you really love and you like the shape of it, just trace it and then add. So when I traced the one that I had, I added about 1/4 of an inch beyond it for seam allowance. So don't forget to add for seam allowance. But if you want to take the guesswork out, you can go download this. Mishka just posted this in our CutterPillar Creations Hub Facebook group. If you have not joined that Facebook group, it's a wonderful community where people share projects. We talk about what we're doing on the lives here, all sorts of fun stuff happening over there. So go join. And as soon as we get to the end of our live today, I'll hop over because I'm the one that goes into the back end and I'll approve them. If anybody hasn't joined and wants to join right now, I can go in and approve them right here on the spot. So here's another one right here. Lisa has asked to join the CutterPillar Creations Hub. I'm approving Lisa right now. So if you want to download this pattern and print this off on just an 8.5 by 11, you can. And we're going to use this as our template for our eye mask today. And that is, again, over in that Facebook group, the CutterPillar Creations Hub. So go join it. All right. Okay. Are you guys ready? Where did you get the pink sewing machine? on the wall behind me, that is an LED light. I ordered it years ago and it no longer lights up. So it's there as a placeholder until I can make something fun and cool to put on the wall. I wish it still lit up because it was neon pink and it was adorable, but it's got a short. I don't know what's going on with it. So fortunately, it just is eye candy for you guys. And I've had it for so long, I couldn't even tell you where I got it. All right, so we're going to sew with satin today. And if you are intimidated by sewing with satin, I would love for you to let me know in the comments. It is cute, isn't it? So it is cute. I know, I love it. It's a lot of fun. Maybe I just need to get a new one. If you are scared to sew with satin, I get it. It's slippery, it's finicky, it's delicate, but doesn't it feel good on your skin? So this makes great pillows, and I like to make them for scrunchies or hair wraps. Eye masks obviously are great, and that's what we're going to make today is an eye mask. This one is actually my son's. I made this one for him, and he actually moved back from college yesterday. And you know how much this came in handy in college when you have a roommate coming in and out at all hours. So yes, eye masks are great, not just for moms, for everybody. And we're going to make them today. So I want to give you some of my best tips for sewing with satin because this is actually a very easy project. Now, if you want to make this out of something else, you absolutely can. Fleece, like that baby fleece, that really soft fleece is so good and cozy. So that's another option, especially great for kids if they want to have a little eye mask. And by the way, you can size this down when you print it. You can scale it down to be smaller for children. Like you don't have to print it as big as I did, but this is perfect for adults. Okay, I put it on, but I just put on eye makeup, and so we don't want to mess it up. Okay, so we're going to use this satin. I'm actually using a pink satin today, so this is the pink color I'm doing, and you're just going to need a couple of extra little pieces, so we're going to go through what you need. And so I am going to move my hope to get accepted to the Facebook group soon to get the template. Thanks for sharing. Well, you know what? I'm right here right now. Let's see. Okay, I've got Amy and Sabrina just asked to join. So I just approved both of you. There you go. If anybody else wants to join the CutterPillar Creations Facebook group, you can do it right now. And during the live, I'll keep checking it. And I'll approve it right here on the live. If you are watching the replay later on, you can go join at any point and you'll be able to still get this download. All right, so let's talk about what we need. And I'm actually going to switch over to my other camera. Here we go. All right. So I went ahead and cut out a couple of things, but I'm going to give you my tips on cutting with satin. Just because when I cut, I don't know about you, but I can't sit to cut. I actually have to walk around the table, and that's kind of hard to do on a live. So I did cut my mask. I have one down here, and then I have the other one, and I'm going to show you some tips on pressing. But you're going to need satin, and you're going to need enough to do this eye mask. It's not a lot. You really don't need a whole lot, but if you get like a quarter of a yard, you would be able to make several of these. It really doesn't take a whole lot. I just cut out my template, as you can see here, and that's what I put over my satin. When you cut with satin and you are using this template, you're going to want to use something to hold it down. I like to use pattern weights. Really hefty pattern weights are really, really nice to use. If you don't have pattern weights, that's fine. I've used a can of baked beans before, and I'm not joking. Canned soup, anything like that you can put down that you can still cut around that has weight. You want a lot of weight. That's not enough weight. Okay, that's just like my little plastic point timer. That's not even enough weight, right? I need something heavy. So get creative. Go grab something from your pantry if you don't have heavy pattern weights. These are actually pretty hefty. And you want that because you want to keep your material as steady as possible. And then I cut mine one at a time. A lot of times we like to fold things over if we need two of something because we need a front and a back of this. With satin, you don't want things to shift and slide. So cut one and then cut another one. Don't fold your fabric and try to cut two at once. That's where you're going to get some slipping and sliding. Okay, so I know it takes a little longer, not that much longer. And you need to use a pattern weight. So you're going to need satin. You're also going to need some sort of lightweight stabilizer for your satin. This is fusible on one side and soft on the other. And it's really, you can see through it. It's really lightweight. whatever kind of weight you want is up to you. We're still going to use batting as well to give this some nice cushion to it. But you want something to help keep the shape of the eye mask while we're working with the satin. So stabilizing your satin is really important. And that's what I've done here on this one. I'm going to give you my pressing tips in just a second. And you're going to also need either batting or fleece to go on the inside. I think on this one, I did a fleece, and you can see it's pretty thin. This time I did batting, and it's a little thicker. And I don't know why I cut two. I only needed one. I guess you could do two if you want it extra fluffy, but you really only need one. So you need one cutout of the batting. You need two of the stabilizers and two of the satin. And then you're also going to need a 1.5 inch wide piece of satin for your strap. And the length of that is going to be dependent on the length of your elastic. So what I recommend doing, and I'm going to switch back here real quick, this is custom fit to you. So whoever you're making it for, or you're making it for a kid or for yourself, you're going to want to take your elastic, and this is 1/2 inch elastic, and you're going to want to kind of, what I do is I use a tape measure and measure around my head. And then I will subtract like 1.5 inches to 2 inches from that measurement, because we want the elastic to stretch and we want it to fit snug, but not too snug. Okay. But we have nice stretchy elastic, and we're going to take that measurement after we've done that. I think mine, I don't even know what mine is. I think I measured with my hair clip on, to be honest, because I was in a rush. So mine's probably longer than it needs to be, but you're going to take your measurement and subtract about 2 inches from it to make your elastic. Then when you cut your 1.5 inch wide strip, you're going to want that to be, I don't know, 4 to 6 inches longer than your elastic, because we want it to gather and be all cute and scrunchy, just like this. Does that make sense? Okay. So we've got our pieces. Now, my number one tip when you go to make this is when you cut it out, you make it right away, because satin likes to fray. And that can be a little frustrating and annoying. But let's talk about pressing real quick. And I'm going to press the stabilizer onto the back of my satin on my eye mask. And I'm doing this again to keep it in its shape, so it makes it easier for me to sew with it. So let me move this out of the way. And I actually have, I pushed it down here for a second. This is my glass tempered mat. So let me switch back over here. This is our tempered glass mat, and it allows me to press right onto it, which is wonderful. So I want a nice firm surface, which is great. Now with satin, we don't want to press anything too hot and scorch the material. We definitely do not want to use any liquid, no steam, nothing like that. And we want to put the fusible side down. So there's like a bumpy rough side. We're going to put that side down just like that. And I've got my little iron here. Let's see if it's still warm. Yeah, it's pretty warm. Now, there's a couple things here. I have this on like a pretty medium setting. I don't have it turned up to the highest setting. You do not want to scorch your satin. You just want to fuse this. And one thing about fusing stuff to satin is it's not like a permanent hold. It doesn't want to hold permanently, but it's just long enough for us to work with it. This is just a tip to like make it easier to work with. One of the challenges with sewing with satin is the fact that it slips and slides. So having something on the back, like this little stabilizer, not only helps it keep its shape, but also makes it easier to feed through the machine. All right. And you notice I'm like pressing from the back side. I'm not pressing from the front. If you ever need to press from the front of your satin, if you ever need to do that, you're going to want to use some sort of like pressing mat or protective. You do not want to press right onto the front of your satin. And like I said, we're not using any steam or anything like that. We don't want any liquid on our satin. So satin is not the most forgiving material when it comes to like getting it wet. So we want to, obviously these are machine washable, and I've washed mine before, which is fine. But when we're steaming it and stuff, that can sometimes leave a stain, a water stain, ring mark. And also we just don't want to deal with that at all. And then the other thing is, when you are working with satin, is if you put a hole in it, that hole's going to stay there. So we also want to be a little careful about using what we're using to pin and clip. And we're really not going to use pins at all. So you'll see what I'm talking about when we start putting it together. But here it is. And see, and sometimes it doesn't want to stick the best. And that's okay. It's just a temporary hold for us. So let's get started. Now on our pattern here, we had a couple of markings. And these little markings on the sides, can you guys see this? I'm going to hold it up real quick. These little markings on the template just tells me where I want to attach my strap. So what I'm going to do is use a pin. I have a pin right here. And I'm just going to mark on the back side where that is on my mask. We're going to do it to both. Do we need to do it to both? We really don't, do we? All right, we just need to do it to one. So we're going to do it to this one. And the first thing I want to do is make my strap, because I need my strap before I can make my eye mask, because we're going to do it all at once. So when we sew this strap, we are going to sew it down the length of it by folding it right sides together. So we're going to fold it right sides together in half, and we're going to sew 1/4 inch down this seam to close it. Okay? So I'm going to switch us over to my sewing machine. Now, one thing you'll notice is I've attached my walking foot. A walking foot is a huge help when sewing with satin. Absolutely huge help. I would not recommend trying to sew satin without a walking foot. And what a walking foot does is, as it's got these little teeth on the bottom under here on the foot, and it works in conjunction with your feed dogs. And that is going to help the material feed through the machine. Let me see if I can get this to 1/4 inch. It's going to help it feed through the machine from the top and the bottom, so that both layers, especially since we have it folded over, are going to evenly feed. We're not going to get any weird gathering or puckering or anything like that. Okay. Now, one thing you'll notice, and I don't know if you could tell from the angle that I've got you guys at today, but I did not start right at the edge of my material. I always start a little bit in, and then I will back up to the edge and then keep going. It's going to prevent nesting and gathering, especially with delicate fabrics like this. The other thing that I did, and I hope you can hear me over the walking foot. If not, let me know. But the other thing that I did is I want as much material under my walking foot as possible. So instead of putting the material over and sewing with just a little bit of material under the foot to get to my 1/4 inch, I lined up the material with the right edge of my foot. So there's material all the way under my foot, and I moved my needle position to the right to do that 1/4 inch seam allowance. So it's just about working smart, not hard here. And that's the best thing to do. Now I am folding this as I go. Which makes it a little easier. Yeah. There we go. And there's my tube. Now, can you see how much it's started to fray already? It really doesn't take a whole lot. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our elastic, and I have already put a safety pin on the end of it. And we're going to actually, before we do that, we're going to turn this tube right side out. So let's do that with our safety pin, because we kind of need to do that first, don't we? Here we go. I don't know if I could do that with this tiny or this jumbo safety pin. It's my favorite, but it's also really big. So let's see if I can. Oh, goodness. There we go. All right. So I'm going to feed it down into, oh, can you see that? Sorry. I'm going to feed it down through to turn this tube right side out. Some people like to use a tube turner. I'm kind of old school, and there's, you know, the safety pin works great. Just pin it through one end and you just keep channeling it through. And then as it comes through, your tube is turned right side out. There we go. There's my whole tube. And it looks kind of skinny and it's super fun. And next, oh, it's fraying still. Next, we're going to feed the elastic through this. Let me open that up. There we go. There we go. Woo. Like little hairs everywhere. And then I just have to vacuum that up later. All right. Now this is going to be a bit of a snug fit, but it's going to fit. Okay, so just be patient, especially getting started with feeding this elastic in. We want it to be snug so that it doesn't twist. And it's going to get all scrunched up anyway, so it's going to be perfectly fine. And sometimes, do I have pliers or tweezers? I mean, sometimes little tweezers really help get it started. Let's see if I can get that. There we go. Now, I did not have 1/2 inch elastic today, so I took 1 inch elastic and I cut it down. And that works just as well too. See how it's scrunching and looking super cute? So we're just going to work our way all the way to the other end. But the key is we don't let this end come through into the tube. We want to make sure that we don't pull our elastic all the way through. All right, so here is our other end. Sometimes you just got to trim the end off. If it's to fray too much, it's hard to work with. There we go. Okay, so now that I'm at the end, here's my elastic, and I'm going to take this off. I'm going to grab a little clip and just clip that to hold it in place, okay? So that's one end that I just pulled it through. And now I need to kind of maneuver this end down to the other end of the elastic so that I can line it up with the other end. But we don't want it to go into the tube. We need it to still be out a little bit. So this is the part where you have to just kind of be careful. Otherwise, you're going to be feeding this through all the way over again. There we go. We're going to take another clip and we're just going to clip this end. So we've got our two ends clipped with our elastic. And there's our tube. And super cute, super easy. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to stitch these in place. That's why I like to clip them, because as I'm stretching them, I want to make sure they stay in place. And I'm just going to do a little forward, backwards action. There we go. And do the other end. And when you're done, you can kind of trim that down a little bit. So it's nice and clean on both ends. There we go. We'll trim our little thread tails. All right. So I've got my two ends. all done. And we're going to go back over to our piece here. And I've made my marks. So let me actually zoom in a little bit for you guys. There we go. I've made my marks here and here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to line these up. And we're going to put them in here just like so. And actually, I think I'm going to flip these to the other side. Let's flip this over. So I've got my mark, but we're going to clip it to the front. The reason we're going to do that is this is going to go into that seam allowance and turn correctly. So there we go. All right, so now that I've got those in place, I'm going to stitch these down before we start adding our other pieces, just to make it easier and stay in place. So let me switch back over to the machine for you guys. And so just like I tacked those down, and we're using that same 1/4 inch seam allowance for this entire project. So once you set up your foot, you don't need to change anything. And by the way, I didn't even turn this on yet, but I need to. My little flex light, I've got it on my machine today. I charged it just for you guys. I was using it in my hotel this week when I went to the H&H show in Chicago. And I took some sewing stuff just to, sewing is such a release for me. It's like a stress reliever, and it's how I like to decompress. And so I took my machine with me to do a little applique work. Actually, it was a work project. So I could work ahead a little bit, but I took that with me and set it up, and I was using my flex light in my sewing room. And it was so helpful because lighting in hotels is not great. Okay, so we've got that. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to zoom in for you guys so I don't have to hold it up so far. So I've got this piece here, and we're going to take this piece and line it up and clip it around. And so I like to start, let me just grab my little clips here. To kind of start in one spot, and we'll work our way around. But you're going to have to tuck in your strap, and that can be a little challenging sometimes, but we'll get there. I always like to kind of line up that nose area so it's nice and even. Okay. Now it's okay if your your stabilizer, your interfacing is a little bit bigger than your satin. It'll all get caught in the seam allowance, so it's totally fine. But we would definitely want to use the satin as our guide for our seam allowance. And see how I'm just like tucking that down in there, lining up my edges. All right, now I do want to mark about a 2.5 inch opening here. So I'm going to use my ruler, and I want it to be kind of at the top in the center. And I'm going to mark that because that's my starting and stopping point for sewing. I do not want to sew across that area. I want to start here and go all the way around and stop here. I need a place to turn this right side out. Does that make sense? Now I am going to take a quick little break and see if we have any questions. And I saw some more people say, please approve me. So let's see if we've got any more. There we go. You guys are approved. All right, there you go. Approving more people to join our CutterPillar Facebook group. We appreciate it. Hi, Mindy. How are you? I just saw you pop on. Mindy was at my sewing retreat last week. Let's see here. All right, so we are going to stitch around the edge. Again, that same 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I'm going to switch back over to camera 2 here to the sewing machine. And we're just going to stitch now. You're going to see as I like push this down because I've got bulk here, it's going to want to not line up perfectly. So we're going to have to just kind of finagle that. And this clip is going to be in the way of my walking foot. The walking foot does take up a little space. All right. You do want to make sure that you backstitch at the beginning and the end before you start, since we're leaving that opening. Otherwise, your stitches will come apart. Now, I'm going a little faster around these curves because I've made this quite a few times, and I'm very comfortable with sewing curves. However, if you are new at sewing curves or it's your first time making one of these, take your time going around the curves because whatever we sew here is the shape it's going to be when we're done. So if we want these curves nice and smooth, this is how we're defining that right now with these stitches. All right. If you need to pivot, as I like to say, leave your needle in the down position, lift your foot a little bit, and move your fabric accordingly, okay? Especially around this little nose area. And if you can't tell, I'm using my left hand to kind of push the strap away from this area so it lays nice and flat as I go around this curve. See how I'm taking my time and pivoting as I go. Did you see anything at H&H that got you excited? Jenny, that's a great question. I saw a lot of things that got me excited. I'm not going to lie. I love going to those types of shows because it's just so much fun and I see a lot of really amazing things. But one of the things that I love that always makes me happy is seeing people that I know. Like some of our affiliates were there and I got to say hi to them and give them hugs. And I actually posted some pictures of, I'm the worst at remembering to take pictures in the moment because I just live in the moment. But I did see some people the second day again, and I was like, we didn't get a picture yesterday, and I really would love to get a picture with you. So I did grab some more pictures the second day than I did the first day. But we just had a great time. I mean, there's so many fun things happening in the industry, and we're just excited to be a part of it. Will say, and you guys are going to be the first to hear it, I secured some more presenters and brands for our upcoming live virtual event that's like the one that we did in March. It was so much fun. I secured some more people for that right there in their booth at the event. Like I said, you can't not participate. This is the most fun thing to do, and you have to hang out with us. And they said, okay, I'd love to. And so some of the teachers and educators and presenters that I secured while at H&H are going to just blow your mind. And I'm so grateful to their willingness to participate with us. So that I think is what has me the most excited is just locking down some of my personal favorites that I've been following for years. I get to learn from them too, just right along with you guys. Okay, so we sewed all the way around that. And so this is where we're at now. But remember, we still have this batting piece and you could use one or two. This is kind of a thicker batting, so I'm just going to use the one. And I'm actually going to switch back over here. Forgive me for bouncing around a little bit, but I want you guys to see everything. So this is where we're at, okay? And I'm going to place this right on top. Here, we'll go this way. I'm going to place this right on top. And we're going to clip this down. Now, yes, you could have done all of this at once, but if it's your first time doing it, take one extra spin around the block. It can't hurt. And we're going to pin this down. And please ignore my broken thumbnail. I did my nails the day before H&H, my only day at home this week until today. And and then I get to H&H on Tuesday and I broke my nail pulling my laptop out of my backpack. And I was like, really? So just, I haven't had a chance to fix it yet. So please ignore the status of my thumbnail. I try to make my nails look nice. And it's on my right hand too. So of course you're going to see it. But that's okay. I know you guys will forgive me this one time. The busted nail. All right, so we're gonna stitch around this again, and remember, this time we're gonna leave that opening. Sorry, we're not gonna stitch across this because we still need to leave this opening. We're gonna turn it all, but I clipped it down on one side, but I'm actually gonna sew it from this top side because now that first stitch is my guide. I want to stitch right where I stitched before. Okay, awesome. All right, let's switch back to my sewing machine and we'll go around the world one more time. The second time around is a little faster and easier because now you've got a guide for your stitching. You're still going to want to do that little back stitch, the beginning and the end. Doing this the second time is just reinforcing this mask and all the pieces. So it really is good to stitch around it twice. There we go. There is, it kind of looks like one of those Uncrustable peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, doesn't it? With this batting. It's so fluffy. This is going to be so cozy. Okay, let's switch back over to this camera. And so now I have this opening here. And this is the fun part. Now, before we do this, you could, if you want, you could take some pinking shears and trim this down. There's a little bit on this curve that gets a little thick. So I would actually recommend kind of trimming some of this down. You could use pinking shears. You can use just little snips like I'm using here, just to eliminate some of that bulk, which is really helpful. Another option is you can just go through and put in little snips around the curves so that they lay nicely when we're done. And yeah, we're almost done, I promise. This is such a fun, quick project. If you are a quilter and you have extra batting scraps, like these little random pieces laying around, this is a great way to use those. You can't go wrong with it. You can make this, like I said, with satin, which I've shown you some of my tips for sewing with satin today. You could also make this with fleece or other really soft, cozy flannels. Things like that would be really fun. There we go. I'm going to cut just a little bit there. A little bit in this way. Around the nose. Okay. So now I've made a mess. We're going to turn this right side out. Let's see here. There we go. And honestly, one of the easiest ways to do that is to just pull this strap out. And it will kind of pull that end for you. There we go. Now, this type of tool, it can look like this, or it could look like this even. These little tools, they're point turners, and they're going to be your best friend with this project. Because you're going to run that along the seam and push all of that out. This batting is thick, so you're going to really have to like work it into its position. There we go. Okay. So from here, you have two options for closing this up. You can just kind of pinch and fold and hand stitch this across the top so that you don't see any stitching on the outside, which is what I prefer to do. Okay. So that is one option. So it looks just like this when you're done, and you can just do a little whip stitch in there and close it and you'll never see it. Option two is to top stitch all the way around. Okay. And so to top stitch all the way around, you can use that same walking foot. It's going to be very helpful. And what it'll end up looking like is something like this, a little more finished look. And for those of us who don't like to hand stitch, it will catch that opening and it kind of lays it nice and flat. This kind of gives more of a flat look to it, whereas this gives more of like a pillowy look to it. It's totally up to you. If you were very comfortable with sewing curves, then top stitch it, because you're going to follow that same little curve line. If you are not comfortable sewing curves, I would just leave it just like this. Wait, there we go. I would leave it just like this, okay? Because those top stitching is going to be very obvious. This one I sewed, and you know, it looks great, okay? Now, when you sew this, you can use a cotton, you can use a cotton poly blend. For the one that I sewed today, I used a rayon thread because I had a rayon thread that matched perfectly. Let me show you. I'll just take it out of my machine real quick. Look at how perfect that rayon thread matched. So what I'll probably do with this one is just whip stitch this shut. But I just wanted to give you two options. You can top stitch it. You can whip stitch it. It's totally up to you. But it's turns out so fun, so cute. And I hope you guys learned some fun new tips for sewing with satin, because it's not easy, but it can be. It's easy when you have these tips. I did not struggle at all. And I'm telling you, the walking foot on your machine is what makes it so easy. So I hope you guys take the time to go make one of these this weekend. And if you do, go to our Facebook group and post a picture. And let's see, is there anybody else that wants to join while we're here, while I'm logged in? I think everybody's in our CutterPillar Creations Hub from today's live. So I will leave it there. But you can download the pattern for this. I literally traced my mask for you. Okay, so it's nothing fancy. But you can go download this and use it as a template. You can scale it down or up per your preference. But this one is it's a good size. It's a good size. Okay. Any questions? Oh, thank you guys. I think I would prefer. I could break my nails and go into H&L and then working on our boring jobs. Yeah, I don't have a boring job. I get to hang out with you guys and sew and do fun stuff and plan fun events for you guys. Like it's just adds to the fun of my job. The nail color's pretty. Thank you. A little spring blue. I'm gonna have to fix just this one nail, aren't I? I do them myself. You know what? So Francie said, this is very nice. Also an opportunity for some fun embroidery. Oh my goodness. Now you have inspired me to make another one with embroidery. And if you did that, you would want to embroider on your satin and then cut it out around this. Ooh, that is so fun. Now, my question to you is, what would you embroider on the front of your eye mask? Comment what you would embroider on the front of your eye mask. I think that would be a great to inspire us all. Mine will probably say, do not disturb. Do not disturb. I'm sleeping. I do want an eye mask for when I'm flying like long trips. Wake for food. That's what I need the other one to say, because I've missed some key meals on like long overnight flights because I fell asleep and they didn't wake me up and feed me. So maybe the other one should be wake for food that I take on when I travel. All right, so don't forget, we have a couple of deals going on today. We have our Love Mom for 20% off our specially curated mom bundles. You can find those over on our website, and I will actually copy the link real quick and put it in the chat. So guys, you guys have it. So let me copy that real quick and put it in there for you. And then don't forget, we have our new Flex Light products. So you guys know our Flex Light, our famous, lovely, popular Flex Light. If you don't know, it is a wonderful tool. And not only can it attach to your sewing machine, but we released a new accessory bundle that allows you to use your Flex Light in a lot of new ways that you never could before. So you're going to want to check that out over on our website. And you can use the code FLEX20 for 20% off our new Flex Light bundle or Flex Light products. Now, that includes our pre-order for our Flex Light accessory kit. So let me go find that real quick, and I'll put a link to it in the chat. So just so you guys have it. And all these bundles are right here. So let me put that, all these Flex Light deals are right here. So let me just copy and paste that in there. There you go. I'd like... Oh, that's too. You'd like to embroider what it looks like open eyes, even though you're sleeping. I love that. I love that. These are, Bernie, these are a great gift idea. I mean, this is such a, if you have a new mom, she's going to have to nap when baby naps, and baby naps throughout the day, and it's bright. Like, make her one of these. I used to have one, a sleep mask that said ZZZZZ with like a bunch of dots after. So I thought that one was cute. But I like the open eyes. Put some eyelashes on it. You could definitely embroider some eyelashes on it. Anyways, I hope this inspires you all. I hope you learn some helpful tips to feel confident to sew with satin. I'm telling you, it's really not that hard. Once you, the walking foot is a must. Oh, and the other tip I was going to tell you is I changed my needle out for like an 80-12 needle, like a finer tip needle, because once you poke a hole in satin, and it's there, it doesn't go away. So if you misstitch something and you have to take it out and you're going to stitch somewhere else, that hole is always going to be there. So just know that, like, use a finer needle. It'll help go through the satin really easily. As soon as you cut it, sew it, because you saw how much it frayed, and I had just cut it before our live. Walking foot is a must. And stabilizing your satin for projects like this can be very helpful. It doesn't add any stiffness to it at all, but it made it so much easier to help it hold its shape and not stretch and get wonky while I was working with it. So again, a few extra tips to help you be successful and not be intimidated by satin. All right. I hope you guys have a wonderful and happy Mother's Day weekend. My son is home from college, so I cannot wait to spend the weekend with him. I have missed him so much this year. And yeah, that's it. I hope you guys have a great one, and I'll see you next week. Next Friday, I believe Melody and I are coming back for our monthly block sew along with our laser cut quilt kits. If you have not been following along on that, you really should. It's so much fun. These laser cut quilt kits are amazing. So we'll be back next week for that. And some other fun things are in store. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. If you haven't joined our Facebook group, you might want to go do that. All right. Have a good one. Happy weekend. Happy sewing. Bye.